Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are doing a combined meeting tonight. We have Somerset Academy Bethany, Somerset Career Academy, and Somerset College Prep Academy. We are required to do this meeting, and I'll get to that in just a minute, for all the schools, and just figured it'd be easier to do it one time with all of one shot instead of three different meetings, especially since so many of you guys are parents at both campuses or all three campuses sometimes. So I'm Eric Rains. I'm the principal. I believe that I have Ms. Hernandez, my vice principal of Bethany, on here tonight. I know I have some admin from college prep on here. I'm not sure if Mr. Treator's here. Not sure who all it is, but I know I've got some admin from all three campuses. So I'm just going to skip the introductions because I have no idea who's on here. There's too many of y'all in front of me. So I'm going to ask you guys to be a little bit patient. I'm actually not the one sharing screen. And so my page is not moving as fast as my fingers want to move. So if I mess up something technically, I'm just going to ask for y'all's patience and grace on that. Okay, let's see if this still works. Okay, there we go. It worked. All right. So you guys already know that, hopefully you already know that Somerset College Prep made its A again. No idea how many years in a row that is. Somerset Academy Bethany has made its A for the second or third year in a row. Hernandez, second or third year?
So second.
Second year in a row. Okay. And Bethany, nope. College, nope. Career Academy made a B. So it was our Career Academy's first year open. Typically, when you open a charter school, as is evidenced by both College, Prep Academy, and Bethany, first year charter schools are typically C's, occasionally lower than that, but typically C's in our case. So for us, a B, the first year getting a letter grade for Career Academy, that was an accomplishment for us. The second really cool accomplishment from this last school year is not only did Bethany achieve its A for a second year in a row, that it also achieved state designated high performing status. College Prep has been state designated high performing and state designated school of excellence for years. But this was our first one for Bethany. So that was really cool. We shout out to our hardworking teachers for this one. Okay. Going to skip over that because everybody knows that one. There we go. Okay. So the reason we're having this meeting tonight, this parent university is specific in the content that has to be covered. When a school is a Title I school, and we'll talk about what that means in just a minute, but when a school is a Title I school, we are required to share specific information with our families. So this is how we're doing that tonight. And part of what we have to share is about budget and expenditures. So charter schools, while we are not funded at the same rate as traditional public schools, while we are a traditional public school, we're not funded at the same rate. We are funded the same way, not same amount, but same process, which means that the feds give the states money, the states give the districts money, the districts give the schools money, right? For us, that whole system is called the FAFP, the Florida Education Finance Program. The district disbursement, so when feds give it to the state, state gives it to the district, district gives it to the schools. When it comes to charter schools, the district actually keeps 5% of all federal funding that we get from the state/feds, and that 5% is called an administrative fee. Now, the cool thing about Bethany becoming high performing is that once a charter school becomes high performing, the district's not allowed to keep 5%. They're only allowed to keep 2%. So for college prep and for college prep and for Bethany, the district this year is only going to be keeping 2% of our total funds, as opposed to the 5% that they're able to keep from Career Academy, or that they've kept from Bethany in the past. So that gives us just a little bit more wiggle room there. The millage or property tax revenue, the reason I wanted to hit on that is I want you guys to have that understanding. A couple of years ago, I don't remember how many, it's been a while now, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. There was the whole vote where um, if you own your home, your property taxes went up, and there was this whole push to vote yes for that referendum, and that was supposed to go to teachers. Well, when that first passed, charter schools did not receive that. Charter school teachers did not receive that, even though charter schools are public schools, publicly funded. Although you may own your home and send your child to a charter school, your child's teachers did not get that. So after a bunch of charter schools collectively got together in different counties and filed suits, we actually are now getting that money. So your students' teachers receive what we call, it's not a straight referendum, it's a referendum match for us. So they get that money now that was that originally was not open to charter schools. So your teachers are getting that. The difference is in the district school, your teachers get it as part of every single paycheck. For us, they get it quarterly. Quarterly? I think it's quarterly. It may be 3 times a year. I'm not. They get it broken up into different pieces. Hernandez, unmute yourself and jump
It's
in and correct
it's
me.
3 times a year.
Thank you. And you can stay unmuted so that you can correct me when I say something wrong. So 3 times a year they get that money. So they get it in lump sums. And the reason that we do that differently for your teachers as opposed to doing it the way the district does it is because that comes up for a vote every 5 years. And so the next time that it's voted on, if the voters decide not to approve that, that money goes away. And if it's part of their every paycheck um, income, then they will feel that. Whereas if it is, 3 times a year in a lump sum, it feels more like a bonus or a stipend, and so it doesn't have as much of an impact um, on their regular paychecks that way. All right, and then the next piece, and this is where why we're having this meeting, is Title One grants. It's so charter schools as well as traditional public schools use a lot of different types of grants, and since COVID, a lot of us have really functioned. A lot of what we've had, a lot of what we've been able to add to our programs, like the computers and a lot of the upgrades, were because of funds that were given to schools in Florida after the pandemic for a couple of years after that. Now, all that money is gone. The state has stopped allocating those funds. So we are back to our pre COVID funding. And one of those is Title One funds. Title One funds are at the beginning of the school year, when we're sending out the blast saying, please fill out the free and reduced lunch application, that free and reduced lunch application, even if your student doesn't qualify, even if your household income is too high for your student to qualify for free or reduced lunch, um, we need to have as many applications filled out as possible, because those applications are what determines our Title One eligibility. And if you look down here, you can see college prep receives $138,170 in Title One funds. Bethany receives $124,830 in Title One funds, and Career Academy did not get a Title One award for this school year or for last school year. That school is still very small. We have less than 60, 65 students in that school. So if to be Title One, there's a specific percentage that you have to be that you have to have students who are free and reduced over a certain percentage, and that changes by district. So I think for ours, I think I'm not even going to guess. I don't even know what it is, but I know that Career Academy does not receive those funds. So having the Title I funds, being awarded those funds, there are certain things we have to do to be able to take advantage of those funds. And this meeting is one of those things that we have to do. It's one of those requirements. So bottom line is that charter schools function at about 80% of what traditional schools function at. Okay. One of the requirements of the Title I funding is that a portion of those funds, so those funds are restricted. So, like, we have to use a certain amount of those funds on different things. One of those things is communication with our families. Um, Oh, there it goes. Okay. So Miss Diaz has put together these flyers. I'm sure you guys have seen these before, with all the different methods of communication that we use. If you've got your phone with you and you want to scan those, the top left corner is our school's Facebook feed, websites. That actually, oh, I'm on the wrong. Oh, it went forward. Sorry, my bad. I thought it was still on Bethany. Do you have Facebook, the website, the text blast, and the YouTube page? So that page is Bethany. That page is college prep. I'll let that sit for a second so you guys can take a look at that one. And that page is Career Academy. I want to talk on Bethany for 1 second because I know a lot of my Bethany parents in past years, you've had access for the Remind app, the texting app with your teachers, and this year you only have it with the school. And I wanted to explain the change in that method of communication. Your So in the past, when you've had both, a lot of our parents would either have just the school or just the teacher, and there was information going out from the school that parents were missing because the school put it out. And the teachers didn't always resend everything or didn't know they needed to resend everything. Um, and then there were also times where we had parents who were signed up for the school blast and not the teacher when they were missing information on what was going on in the classroom. So we decided to streamline it. Career Academy and College Prep Academy are both streamlined. All parents need to access the whole school Remind app, or texting app, and then you can use email to email with your teachers directly. Okay. This is so we had a couple of weeks ago, we had a Miss Vivanco and Miss Smithsrod, and I think Miss Miller did a parent university for our parents who have students in our ESOL program and our English speakers of other languages program. And one of the things that we learned is that Remind app that I was just talking about, you can actually change the language on that. So although we send out the app and send out the information in English, this is on the screen now is the directions for changing it to other languages. I don't know how many different languages are there, but those are the instructions for that. So if you want to grab a picture of that screen real quick, if you don't have this information, if you aren't aware of that, if you didn't know that you could change that. So it was cool. Also, just so you know, I don't think it's a screen on here, or a slide rather. Our websites also in the top right corner, there's a little icon up there, and you can change the language on all of the school's websites as well. I don't think there's a way to do it on our Facebook page, but I know there's a way to do it on our website, and then obviously here, Remind. Okay, what is a parent teacher conference and who can request it and how to request it? So that is what we're going to go through in the next two slides. I think it's two. Um, there we go. For College Prep Academy and Career Academy, and yes, for College Prep and Career Academy, you email your guidance counselors directly. Their email addresses are on the screen, and those black and white squares are probably quick links to their. Oh, what happened? I didn't even touch it. Whoa, what's happening? Miss Diaz, I think you took back control of my screen. All right, hold on, guys. Technical. Ah! Diaz, if you
Bye.
have something to
Sorry,
input, you.
sorry, my computer fell asleep, so I moved the mouse to wake it up and then I messed it up. I'm sorry, everybody.
That's okay, that's okay. Is
The
this
QR codes on the College Prep and the Career Academy, if you scan those, it'll automatically prompt you to send the guidance counselors an email. So if you don't want to remember it, you can save that picture, print it out, and put it on your refrigerator, and that way you can just scan the QR code.
very cool. And is this the one for, I don't
This
get
is the one for Bethany, and it'll take you to the school website so that you can request a parent-teacher conference.
Okay, all right, perfect. And I still have control. Okay, excellent. So there you go. Thank you, Miss Diaz. And what is a PTC? That's parent teacher conference, obviously. Okay, this is just like has a mind of its own now. There we go. Okay. Um, so one of the ways that we ensure equal access is that we offer transportation. Offering equal access is also a require. Why is that moving? Okay. Um, Offering equal access is a requirement of Title I as well. There's different ways that we can meet that requirement. We choose to, and have always chosen to, offer transportation. So charter schools by law do not have to offer buses. We do, and we actually do it at a deficit because the reimbursement from the state for offering transportation is not 100% of what the cost is. It's about 30% of what the cost is to run our buses. We currently run 16 buses county-wide, all the way up to Lakewood Park and Indrio, all the way down to Becker, all the way out to US 1 in that direction and out to the golf course in the other direction. So we actually cover the entire county instead of just a zone in the county. Uh, I know this first line says Somerset Academy Bethany. It should just say Somerset Academy because all three of the campuses actually offer that transportation. In order to cover the entire district, we actually we do what's called depot stops instead of what's called convenience stops. Convenience stops would be the ones that are like right in front of your house or maybe at the end of your road. But the depot stops mean that, so what our transportation department does is they take all your applications and they look at an area, and if they've got 20 kids who live in this area, they're going to put that stop like right in the middle, somewhere centrally located to all of them. So it'll be closer to some and further from the ones on the outer edges. But that's again so that we are able to offer that countywide. K1-2 kids, so Bethany, kinder, first and second grade, your parent, an adult has to be at the bus stop to accept the child. We're not allowed by law to let a K1-2 child off the bus without an adult there meeting them. If there's not an adult there to meet that child at the bus stop, a K1-2 child, then I do require my drivers to bring those kids back to school, and then the parent has to pick up there. If that happens, I think it's 3 times, then your students do lose your student is suspended from the bus for a period of time if they have to keep returning. Please keep in mind that the college, so Bethany lets out first, and so the buses drive for Bethany. As soon as they're done with that route, College Prep and Career Academy both let out. So it's the same buses running for for all 3 campuses. So if we have a bus returning to Bethany because somebody didn't meet their kid at the bus stop or because the student fell asleep, then that bus has to go back to Bethany, drop that student off before it can get over to College Prep and Career Academy to pick up those kids and take those kids home. So it really, when my Bethany people aren't on the ball, it really, really, really affects my College Prep and Career Academy kids. And they're already getting out so late, and it's so late when they get home as it is. So we beg our Bethany parents to, if you have a K1-2, please be at the bus stop when you're supposed to be there to meet your student. Okay. There we go. All right, Miss Diaz, are you or Miss Meyer going to take the next couple of slides?
Sorry, I guess it's gonna be me.
I'm gonna mute myself. Hopefully it still works.
Okay, so at Bethany, I'm gonna mainly speak about Bethany because that's where I have the most experience with. But at Bethany, we have really tried to create this role of a family engagement officer, which started last school year. And that is to get more families involved and know what's going on in the school and to just build that a better communication and a better community for the students that are at Bethany. Obviously, we want to expand that to the Career Academy and to the college prep. But my focus has always been on Bethany. Um, we have different events that we try to do for Bethany. We have at least one family engagement activity where we have parents come, whether it's the beginning of the year at like the open house or our ice cream social, dances that we have at the school, or the book fair that we open up to the public, as well as every grade level has one field trip per month the entire school year. I think the only month that we don't do a field trip is in August, just because, we don't have the time for it. So the first field trip starts in September, and then they have one every single month.
And that just to interrupt for a second, that family engagement officer position and that family engagement activities is also one of those requirements for those Title I funds. A percentage of those funds must be spent on the family engagement officer and or activities.
Okay. So for Bethany, we have a page completely dedicated to all the upcoming events that we have going on in the school year. So again, if you want to print this out, if you want to scan the QR code and then just bookmark it so you have it, whether on your phone or on your desktop, you can see every single event. It may not have the exact date, but it'll have like a tentative information, and we update it as we get the information for everything going on in the school year. If you are interested in becoming a volunteer at the school, whether it's to chaperone field trips, dances, or any activity, help out during lunch duty and or in the office for arrival or dismissal, if you want to be a teacher assistant for the day because you love your teacher, whatever the reason is why you want to volunteer with the school, we do require that all applicants have or pass the drug test and do the level 2 background check. You can scan the QR code. It'll take you to the website where you can download the application, and then the email address is provided there. And then,
And keep in mind that all 3 campuses do require parents to volunteer a minimum of 20 hours a year with us. And that can be done by chaperoning field trips, chaperoning. There's a lock-in coming up. There's a spooky social coming up. There's a fall festival coming up. So there's lots of different volunteering opportunities, as well as obviously donations.
yeah, so like she said, we have a lot of different volunteer opportunities, and you never know where volunteering at the school may lead.
Miss Diaz's question, I can
Yeah,
see that it says volunteer at somersetacademybethany.org. That's the same email address, though, regardless of which campus they want to volunteer at.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that particular website is not on the Career Academy or College Prep. It's something that I have to add on there. So the application process is the same and the email address is the same. It'll go to Rosenfeld.
Okay.
Okay.
And is Miss Rosenfeld on right now? Miss Rosenfeld? All right, Miss Hernandez, can you speak to that clearance process, the cost and what it entails and turnaround time since Miss Rosenfeld's not on?
I honestly do not know what the cost is nowadays. I know it used to be about $56 for your fingerprints and around 40 or 50 for your drug test. Parents and, people who want to volunteer have to go through a drug test and a fingerprint process to make sure that they are safe to be around our students, and an application as well.
So I do know a little bit about the cost. The cost is a little over $120 with the fingerprinting and the drug screening. And the costs that the parents make towards getting this process done will actually count towards their volunteer hours. So as long as you submit the receipt or proof and everything, we can update it and get you those volunteer hours. And it's valid for 5 years.
Oh, that's cool because it used to only be a year or two.
Yeah.
Right, and now with the clearance house rings, you're seeing clearances come in around how many days after everything's
I'm seeing
completed?
them, if there's no criminal history, I've been seeing them come back in 24 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say they've been very, very quick, like no more than 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 3 days is probably the longest, and that's usually if there's a problem.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, these are some events that are going to be coming up at the Middle High campus for Career Academy and College Prep.
Yes, for both of them. And I can speak to those a little bit. Hispanic Heritage Night, we have that every fall, and it's all of our foreign language teachers and their students get together and put that event on. That is a free admission, it is open to the public. Our students they are showcasing the work that they've, excuse me, been doing in those classes. They have posters and poster boards up. Sometimes they have performances for us. They usually make a meal from the country that they're showcasing. So that's open to every. So even if your student attends Career Academy or College Prep, you can still attend as a Bethany or the other Middle High campus family. So that's open to all of our families, and we do ask you guys to attend those. The kids like to show off the work that they've done. The fall lock-in is it starts about a half an hour after the Hispanic Heritage event ends. It starts out only open to high school, then it ends up opening to middle school if we don't have enough high school tickets sold. So it's a middle high event this year, both College Prep and Career Academy. Definitely need volunteers for that. Volunteer hours are awarded for the first shift normally, for the second shift and third shift those hours are actually doubled. So if you're pulling a 4 hour shift, you're getting 8 hours just because of it's the middle of the night. I know that Stella has been very nervous about, she's helping me put this together, and she's been very nervous about our chaperones and not having enough or not having them show up. Parents, if you have signed up to chaperone this particular event, you have not gotten your clearance, please, please, please reach out to Miss Rosenfeld immediately so we can get your clearance back before Friday night. The blood drive, we usually have the blood drive, the SGA. I'm sorry. Okay. Um, the SGA usually sponsors the blood drive. Big Red Bus parks out in front of the school. And while we encourage our high school students to donate, it's actually open to everybody. So parents of Bethany families, if you guys are out and about in St. Lucie West that day and you see the Big Red Bus out there, please come by. It's one of the things that our SGA does to try to give back. Um, if you are a parent at Bethany or Sassel, my guidance department will be presenting to fifth grade parents. So the middle high guidance department will be presenting to fifth grade parents at those two schools next week. Those dates are on the screen. And then the NEHS induction ceremonies on the 24th. Spooky Social is I believe that's middle and high school event. It's actually sponsored by the FFEA at Career Academy and open to middle and high school. There's a breast cancer walk-in tradition on October 25th. It's the one that happens every year. Our cheerleaders have been asked to lead that this year. They're pacing it this year, which is really cool. Our cheerleaders from College Prep Academy, they participate every year. And I guess because of their participation, the breast cancer group has asked them to pace it this year. So please come out and walk and raise funds, start a team. We're looking forward to doing that. And parents and students of all the campuses can do that because it's open to absolutely everybody, not just our schools, obviously. And if you choose to participate, we do count that towards your parent volunteer hours, regardless of which campus you attend. And then homecoming this year for college and career is November 1st, and always looking for chaperones, volunteer chaperones for that. Keep in mind that while you may have kids
Slide
at
that.
Bethany or
The
at
slides on mute.
College Prep and Career Academy, you are able to
No,
volunteer at any of those. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have kids at your camp at one campus to volunteer at that campus. So as long as you have a kid at Somerset, one of my Somersets, then you can volunteer at any of them that you want to volunteer at. So, all right. Maybe.
Okay. Oh, wait, I think we pushed it at the same time.
Oh, probably did.
Okay,
All right, go
so
ahead.
For field trips for Bethany, all field trips, we do require the students to have a field trip shirt that can be purchased through iBelieve. That is the uniform company. They have to purchase that shirt. We really push parents and encourage them to purchase it as soon as school starts because iBelieve is fantastic with deliveries. So we really, so so please make sure you have your field trip shirt. The payment and the payment deadline, we can't extend that. So whenever we set the deadline, we really encourage parents to try to make that payment before the deadline. There's a process that goes through, especially if there is a fee. We have to submit it to the bookkeeper. We have to get it approved. So those people aren't always at the campus that we need. Sometimes we have to hunt them down. Sometimes they're on conferences or at trips. So we usually generally close the payment window 2 weeks before the actual field trip so that we do have enough time to make sure that the check and the appropriate people have signed it. So it is really, really important that parents make the payment before the deadline because we really can't make exceptions or open it up to to extend that payment window. Permission slips have to be turned in. Chaperones, we're always looking for chaperones for field trips. And the eligibility of the field trip is if a student is on behavioral probation, unfortunately, they are not able to participate in the field trips. The field trips are a privilege for our students. So there are certain exceptions that we do make based on the specific type of field trip, but generally, if they're on both behavioral probation, they cannot attend the trips. And then there's a QR code where you can see the school website that has all the upcoming field trips for the year. You can also download the permission slip from there and send it back if your student lost it or the dog ate it or what have you. And then we have a feedback form for all three campuses. So we have one for the Bethany campus. That just helps me and Miss Meyer, who's going to be taking over the family engagement role, try to make this better for everybody, for all our families, for all our students, and for the teachers. So if you want to give us some feedback, that would be great. I want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, everything, because it will help me improve. If I don't know if something is wrong or something is lacking, I can't work towards making that better. And then I have another survey form for the college prep and the career academy.
And this feedback piece is another requirement of us receiving those Title I funds. We are, besides wanting to have your feedback, we are required to provide a platform for that feedback. So I know that a lot of times you guys skip over the surveys, but this is really important because it does meet that requirement for us. So we do ask that you take the time to do that for us.
Yeah, so this covers everything from trips to communication to things that you want the school to do that maybe we haven't thought of doing, or something that you really liked but have a suggestion on how to make it better. I want to hear about that. We as a school want to hear about those things. If you're a parent who, like myself, my daughter comes home with homework and I'm like, oh God, I have no idea how to do this math. If you are interested in maybe, for example, like a math workshop where we kind of just teach you parents how to do the math so that you can help your student. If that's something that you want to see, I want to hear about it so we can make it happen. And I think that's it for me.
Okay, next slide. All right, so you went too far. Okay. Mr. Jackson is going to unmute himself now. So for those of you who don't know, Mr. Jackson is the dean at the Bethany campus. Ms. Sauerman and Mr. Horn are the deans at the College Prep and Career Academy campus. Mr. Jackson is going to go over the definitions of bullying. This is one of those informational things that we need to cover. Mr. Jackson, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I know this subject is near and dear to our hearts as parents, as educators. So I wanted to make sure that we had a clear understanding of what bullying looks like and also what the definition is. So when it comes to bullying, it is something that is repetitive, is something that is intentional, is something that is going to involve an imbalance of power, something that may causes someone hurt, whether it is physical, whether it's psychological. It's threats, is a force of coercion, causing the student to do something that they normally would not do, and or as the person doing the bullying, you are overtaking that person by power of force. As you see on this slide, one of the three P's of bullying, it is a power imbalance, it's purpose with the person with the intent to harm, again, whether it's psychological or whether it's physical. And then the pattern is very persistent. It's something that and it may not be done on a daily basis, but as we continue to look at, we may see that it's something that may be done every 2 days and maybe something that's done once a week. However, there is a pattern that we may be able to look at and catch. And we always want to have we want to know an understanding of why this is happening. I'm going to tell you right now, there is no one onset of things that's happening that may cause someone to display this type of behavior. Um, Friendship is essential to the soul, to our students at this age group, whether we're talking about K-5 or whether we're talking about middle high school. And sometimes when we don't have the ability to either show ourselves friendly, we don't have the ability to understand that we may not see ourselves in the same light as someone else, it may cause us to have triggers or cause us to feel a certain type of way. Having those insecurities, whether it may be social, whether it may be academic, whether it may be economical. These are all the things that our kids feel, and it may cause them to act out in a certain way. And with that being said, some of our students may be victim of bullying themselves. They may struggle socially, economically, emotionally neglected. They may be abused. We don't know. So that's why we, as teachers and educators, we are trying to get to know our students the best that we can, not just from a teacher student relationship, but we actually want to build a relationship so that way our kids feel comfortable having those one-on-one conversations and really telling us how they feel. Miss Rain sent something out to us maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and her words was, "If you see something, say something." And that's the same thing that we instill into our students. We want our students to feel empowered to be able to come to us as the adults and the leaders of the school and say, "Hey, something doesn't look right. Um, you may want to take a look or investigate, you know, potential problems that are happening." There are several types of bullying. You have psychological, you have verbal, you have physical, and on the next screen, I also said there's cyberbullying as well. When you look at all these different components, again, all of them are put in place to produce certain types of hurt. Of course, when it comes to physical, you're talking about a physical constraint of someone being possibly, getting into a physical altercation, being pushed, being shoved. When it comes to the emotional side of it, you're having you're having the conversation to them, you're body shaming them, you're saying things that are attacking them emotionally, especially if you know that they're not feeling a certain way about themselves. um you mind backing up one slide for me? So when it comes to the cyberbullying, again, we see this a little bit on our campus at Bethany, but I'm pretty sure this is something that you may see more of on the middle high campus. Um, Parents, please form the relationship with the kids and have that ability to hold them to a higher standard, and hopefully they're having these conversations with you, because all of these different social media platforms and outlets, it is a way for them to have conversations that we may not even be aware of, especially when it comes to Snapchat, because with Snapchat, those messages that are being sent, they can disappear without being able to be retrieved unless the message is saved. So they're able to have conversations with people, and we may not even be able to track it. There are two other ones on here that I did not put, and that is Discord and Reddit. Those are another. Those are other two social media outlets that kids can use or that kids are using. So I just wanted you all to be aware of all the different platforms that are out there that are available that our kids are actually using, so that way you can be educated to it as well. Next slide, please. Okay, what are the warning signs? As we're looking at our kids and they come to us on a daily basis, if a kid who is normally happy, outgoing, is always telling jokes, always want to be involved, always want to be around people, when they kind of start pulling away and having those levels of depression and anxiety, feeling sad, feeling lonely, there's a change in sleeping, eating patterns, those are the things that we kind of, take a look at, like, something really isn't right. And we have those conversations with our parents, say, hey, can you give us some insight on what's taking place? This is what I've noticed over the last week or last couple of days, and I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of it. But our eyes are open to take a look at our students, so we are very aware. Again, we'll build in that relationship with them so we can tell when something is not right. And so we want to make sure that we're going to be there with you, partnership with all of our parents, to let you know, hey, this is what's happening as well. Next slide, please. All right, how do we address it? Our school as a whole, whether it's Bethany, whether it is college prep, or whether it is vocational, we are a zero policy school as it relates to bullying. Laying hands on people, having those conversations that are inappropriate, we're zero policy. So we are our ears to the ground. We're listening to conversations. We're listening to students, and we are constantly reminding our students, is that the right thing to say? Is that, if we could we have said that better? About a week or 2 weeks ago, I had a conversation with a lot of our fifth graders and some of our fourth graders, just talking about what it means to be diverse, because we're all coming from different backgrounds. So this world is better, our communities are better, our schools are better when we can understand that our differences is our strength. And it's actually, though, that's one of the bulletin boards that is up at Bethany. It clearly says that our diversity is our strength. So once those things that we can learn and understand how to have those conversations, knowing that certain things or certain words that are used could be triggering to someone else, it gives us the ability to be able to choose our words more carefully, and to be able to have better conversations. But with that being said, again, we want to make sure that our students are empowered to be able to see something, say something, have those conversations, be able to divert anything that is happening. And while they're in the process of diverting those things, they're actually coming to an adult to tell the adult exactly what's happening, so that way we can step in. And while we're in the process of looking at or investigating what's taking place, if need be, we have the ability to go and take a look at our cameras and kind of go back and see exactly what's happening um, around the school. So, we're checking in with parents, we're checking in with our teachers, we're checking in with the special teachers as well. Anyone that has an eye on our kids, anyone that is involved in a relationship, we're looking at it, we're looking at their friends, we're having conversations with everyone in class. If anyone sees something, we're gonna bring them in and have those questions to see, can they provide information? Because at the end of the day, all of our kids need to feel safe. All of our kids need to receive the same education that each one has the ability to get. And we don't want any of our kids to come to school feeling that this is not the place where they want to be at, because the type of behavior is being set before them. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that may be the end of mine. So I thank you all very much.
Mr. Jackson, thank you very much. I know that you are currently obligated to a coaching event that you're at, so we really appreciate you taking the time to get with us and go over that with our parents tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Hernandez, it is your turn.
Good evening. I'm actually going to go ahead and let Miss Ingram unmute, and she has the first couple slides.
Okay, go Ms. Ingram.
Hi, everybody. So what is PM testing? PM stands for Progress Monitoring, which is our state testing. It is one of the pieces of data that we use to see where our students start and kind of monitor that throughout the year to see exactly where they're at and what they need so that we are able to give that to them. How often does it happen? We take progress monitoring assessments 3 times a year for all of our students K through 5. We did the first one in September. Our next one is going to be December. And our last one is usually around the end of April or the beginning of May. Okay, and what to look for. So this report does go right into your child's Skyward after testing is completed. And I actually had the opportunity to look at this in Skyward as a parent, so I'm a little bit familiar with. They have links where you can actually, it'll show you the colors. And if you see in the green, it says, it shows the growth for your student. Are they low, are they typical, or are they high, along with their scale score. And you can see from the line, okay, it shows kind of where they should be and where they need to be, where they are.
So your dotted line on this one real quick, Diaz, before you switch it, your dotted line on this report for K to 2 will show you the benchmark for that grade level. So your student should be either following that dotted line or exceeding it. If you are receiving this report and your student is below the dotted line, then that is when you should be concerned that they might not be progressing academically the way they should be.
Right, for the 3rd through 5th grade report, we have the levels 1 through 5, with level 1 being the lowest. That's 2 levels below grade level. A level 2 is still below grade level. The level 3 is on grade level. Level 4 is above. And then level 5 is the highest that they can receive. And it gives you a scale score, which you can compare. I'm not sure it's on this one, but I know on some of the reports, you can compare it to state, county, and to our school to see where they are.
And parents for 3rd through 5th grade, when they're doing their PMs, they are testing. So for example, if a student is a 3rd grade student in math, they are testing them at the beginning of the school year on the material for the end of 3rd grade. So sometimes parents get really nervous when they're seeing that their students may be a level 1 or 2 on that first PM. And we just try to reassure you guys and say, listen, it's because they're testing them on material for the end of that grade level on that material and that content. So you want to just make sure by PM2 that you see that upward movement and they get closer to that level 3. And then by PM3, they should be either completely at a level 3, 4, or 5 and have mastered that content for that grade level.
And real quick, before we change this slide, at the bottom, it shows the categories that they're tested on. On this one, it doesn't look exactly the same, but where it says achievement level, there's usually a dotted line in the middle, which is at or near the standard. So if they're to the right of that, they're meeting that. And if they're to the left, they're below it. So you can kind of see how far away they are from meeting those specific categories.
And if you're ever confused on any of your reports, reach out to the teachers. They've gotten really, really good at reading the reports and understanding the data and being able to explain it a little bit better for parents.
Okay, data chats at Bethany. What is a data chat? That's when we have the parents come in and we sit down and we go over the data reports that we just showed you. We talk about where your student is currently, where they need to be, and how we're going to get there. A student-led conference is something new that we're doing this year. We just actually did them today and they went very well. The students have a PowerPoint template that they will use for the whole year and they add to it for each progress monitoring assessment. and they present their data to their parents. We've added some goals. We put where they are, where they want to get to, and how they're going to get there. And they kind of walk their parents through that. So they're accountable for their learning and their goals. They're about 20 minutes long, and they happen after we take each progress monitoring assessment. And those are scheduled through a Sign Up Genius. I know a lot the teachers send them out in their weekly emails that they send through Skyward. And then I know it was also blasted through Remind so that parents could sign up for that.
Kinder and first grade parents, well, and second grade parents today did our traditional 15 minutes quick in and out, come see your students' data, talk to your teacher, let the teacher tell you how you can support at home. Our student-led conferences, we tried for 3rd through 5th grade, and like Ms. Ingram said, it went very well. So we are looking at moving 2nd grade slowly to that, whether it might not be a PowerPoint, it might be paper-based, but something where the 2nd graders are for PM2 able to present their data to their parents. We found that they are more successful when they own their results and they own their data and they're able to tell you in their own words what they're struggling with, what they scored really well on.
And for my middle high parents that are sitting there going, why don't we have this? The answer to that is because it's done with your middle high students. Your middle high students have more of an understanding of their data. Every single classroom teacher at College Prep and Career Academy have a data wall in their classroom, and the students know where they have their data chats with their individual ELA and math teachers over there. And then, of course, you can always do the parent-teacher conference. All right, Ms. Diaz, I do not want to mess this up, so I'm going to let you push play on this. College Prep parents and Career Academy parents. Mr. Tredor is here with us in spirit. Turn your volumes up. Hopefully this works. Ms. Diaz, go ahead. Maybe with volume. Oh, Ms. Diaz, you're muted. I don't think it'll work if you're muted. I think you have to unmute.
CPA. What you're looking at here is actually a full year's worth of testing, either state level testing or college entrance testing. So I want to go through bits and pieces of each of these to make sure you guys understand what it is your student is taking and when they might be taking it. So first thing I would like to highlight is the PM test. So students took PM reading or maybe also PM math. PM1 occurs in August and September of the school year. PM2 is going to pop up in December. And PM3 is going to be in May. So the students who take PM reading are going to be the students that are in grades 6 through 12 on this campus. Sorry, 6 through 10 on this campus. The students that are taking PM1 math are going to be 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students who are not taking a high school math like algebra or geometry. Right, and those tests are used for progress monitoring and to show achievement. They're also used to calculate the school grade to some degree. And they can determine whether or not a student needs intensive math or reading the following year. So those are graded on a 5-point scale, which is typical of a lot of the tests on this page. 3 is going to be on grade level with support, and that means passing. 4 and 5 are also going to be on grade level or above. 1 and 2 means they're not on grade level yet, and they could use some remediation. So those are the PM 1, 2, and 3 tests. You'll also see leading up to the PM3 tests, teachers running what we call Saturday Saturday schools, Saturday preps, or after school preps to either review content or just to boost their test taking strategies. Reading retakes, next one on this list, that's going to be only for juniors and seniors, and only for those juniors and seniors who still need that graduation requirement of a communication exam. So that can also be fulfilled with a few other exams. It can be fulfilled with the PSAT, the SAT, the ACT, or the CLT. These are all nationally known tests that are used for college entrance exams. The reading retakes is a retake of the 10th grade PM3 reading. So they need to show to be on grade level for that in order to graduate with a Florida diploma. Algebra retakes, that's going to be an algebra EOC exam. Students that are doing retakes are students who previously failed the algebra EOC exam, and typically the geometry EOC exam. They need to have passed one or the other, or a different test that is on the state's list of concordant tests for graduation. So to review, to graduate as a senior from the state of Florida, we need a passing score on a 10th grade reading test and a passing score on an algebra EOC or geometry EOC, or just like with reading, there is a certain score that you can get on the PSAT, the SAT, the ACT, and the CLT in order to take the place of those state exams. The PSAT is going to be taken by all 10th and 11th graders. And as an 11th grader, it's actually the NMSQT test, the National Merit Scholar Qualifying Test. And it is used for colleges and various other organizations to dole out scholarships. The PSAT is kind of like a practice SAT, which is a college entrance exam. Algebra 1 and Geometry Winter EOCs. So this is going to take place in December, and this is going to be for students who are sitting in an algebra or a geometry class from August to December. It could also be any of the juniors and seniors who still need to retake for that passing score for graduation. U.S. history, that's going to be high school level U.S. history. Civics is a middle school level course. We generally give it to 7th graders. These EOCs, anything with the word EOC or the letters EOC that follow the tests, count for 30% of the grade in that class. So the algebra EOC is 30% of quarter 1 and quarter 2 together. Or a better way to think about it is 15% of quarter 1 and 15% of quarter 2. Now, we'll also have algebra and geometry and U.S. history and civics EOCs that happen at the end of the school year in May. And that's for students who are sitting in the class from January to May. Biology, we can throw that in the loop. That is a high school level course, and it is a 30%er. Reading retakes. Same thing as what reading retakes were up here in September. They're happening again in December. And they'll happen again in May. Right. Classroom finals. Any course that doesn't have an EOC attached to it can have a final exam that can be worth 20% of the student's grade. And those are given by the teachers. SAT school day, that's going to be for juniors and seniors only, and that's going to be in March. The state writing test, that's going to be at the end of March, beginning of April. That's going to be for 6th through 10th graders. Up to this year so far, this has just been an informational test, the results of which have not been held against the student in any grade capacity, or there's no requirement to pass this test in order to graduate. It's strictly informational, which is true this year at this point. Another round of reading retakes for juniors and seniors. This is going to be in May. This is going to be the last opportunity for seniors to pass this test before the actual graduation. There is one other opportunity in July, but that's after their graduation at the end of May. So ideally, if there's a senior who still needs to pass this test, they're going to be passing it on the 5th of May this year. And then for anybody else taking PM3 reading or PM3 math, that's at the very beginning of the month of May. And again, it's the same students who took PM1 and PM2 reading and math. All of our EOCs, algebra, geometry, biology, US history, civics, those all are occurring in the month of May as well, and that's for students sitting in the course from January until May. 8th grade science FCAT, that's going to be any 8th grader who is not taking biology. Biology is a high school credit. So an 8th grader that's taking physical science or any other middle school science, they are sitting for this test on May 14th. And then we wrap up the school year with classroom finals. Again, that's any course where it's not attached to an EOC. So remember, EOCs are automatically 30% of the student's grade for 2 quarters. So any course that is offered that's not attached to an EOC has a final of some sort, and it's going to be up to 20% of the grade for that particular 9 weeks. All right. Thank you, Spartans and Vulcans.
Okay, I think that one's done. So also, so that you know, one of the requirements of that Title I funding, remember, because that's what this whole thing is about, is what's considered closing the gap. So the teachers for both for elementary and middle high, the teachers who choose to stay after school to help boot camp your students, or the Saturdays that they come in for boot camps, that Title I funding assists with that as well. Okay, is this going to go? Nope, not going. There we go. Okay. And then another piece of the Title I requirement is to make sure that parents know how we are assisting with transition. So transitioning from Somerset Academy Bethany to Somerset College Prep or Somerset Career Academy. We do our shadow day. You guys have been hearing a lot about that this last week or two. Permission slips should have gone home at Bethany for 5th grade students to get on a bus and be taken over to the College Prep campus, where they will spend the day shadowing middle high students. Middle high parents, your students should have received an email with a forms link in it, where they had to express their interest in being shadowed, and the things that they're into, whether they're an athlete or in a club or school leadership or whatever. And athletes and school leadership and club members, those kids do receive preference when we're picking the kids for the 5th graders to shadow, because obviously we want the 5th graders to have people who are going to be able to answer all their questions and be able to see what all is available to them as they transition to the middle high campus. Typically, we do not choose sixth graders to be shadowed. Typically, it is seventh through 12th grade that gets to have a shadow. It's students from both Bethany and Somerset Academy St. Lucie come over on Tuesday the 28th. And they spend the day there. So they literally shadow the middle high kids. They go from class to class to class with them. At lunchtime, the middle high kids bring the fifth graders to the theater and they drop them off. We have sacked lunch for them where they can bring their own lunch. And the guidance department from College Prep and Career Academy do a presentation to our incoming rising fifth grade to sixth grade. They tell them everything that they need to know about the school, so they get to see it. I know a lot of parents of incoming sixth graders are very nervous because it's middle high, it's bigger, there's so many more kids, and they're worried about them getting lost. This gives our fifth graders the opportunity to see the campus and know what to expect before August of their sixth grade year rolls around. Okay, this is one of those things that we send home at the beginning of the year. One of our preschool teachers found this a couple of years ago, and we liked this and put this out there. This is for all of them, for all of the kids, all the campuses, all the grade levels. If you have something going on at home, if there is something that your family or your students need, if they're just having a bad morning and you're worried about them having a bad day at school, you can always just send an email to their classroom teachers or to their guidance counselors with just a little message that says, please handle with care today. If it goes to their guidance counselors at the middle high campus, then guidance is going to call them in and check with them and make sure they're okay and see if there's anything we can do, or reach out to you as the parent, see if there's anything that we can do. For the elementary campus, if you send that message to their classroom teachers, then this just kind of lets the classroom teachers know that your student just needs a little bit of extra love during the day that day. All right. And this went a little bit longer than I expected. I thought we'd have been done by 7:30. So I guess the testing part took a little bit longer than normal. But we are at the point of questions. I've noticed in the chat, parents have been asking questions as we've gone, and I've seen my people answering those questions in the chat. I know that some of you have asked for copies of those surveys. So Miss Diaz, maybe you can put together something that we can blast out this evening after the meeting's over for those families to be able to respond on those surveys. And then for the communication pages, those are all already out there. How to log your volunteer hours. Your contacts are Miss Meyer at Bethany and Miss Platt and Miss Grant at the College Prep and Career Academy campuses. All right. Are there any other questions? So for those of you who logged in late, this is being recorded, and we will be, as soon as the meeting's over and IT does whatever magic they have to do, it will be uploaded to all three schools' YouTube pages. And then once that happens and they send me those links, I'll get them put up on the schools' Facebook pages and on the websites and try to get those blasted out. That may not happen tonight because it's already kind of late. That may happen tomorrow. But that way this will be available to parents who weren't able to make it tonight or who came in late. Can we share again the link for math help for the parents? Ms. Diaz, I think you were referencing assistance for math for the parents for their students.
Yeah, that was an example of something, but if that's something that parents want, again, once I share the link for the feedback, then I can definitely set that night up. I'll have to get different grade level teachers, and I will get that on the calendar if that's an interest that parents need and want.
If that's something that parents need or want, the college prep campus has NHS and SNHS. And Stella, I see that you're on. I don't know if you're in a position to unmute yourself, but I know that at one point in time we had the ability for, I know we had high school students who were SNHS or NHS that were doing like virtual tutoring on Zoom at some.
Yes. So we did have them, but we didn't get much turnout in the last few years, so we stopped the program. But I do know the presidents that are in those programs now would be able to open it back up if students show interest in having student led tutoring sessions.
Is that something that maybe the high school kids could do for the elementary students, especially the elementary kids that are doing the math that maybe some of the parents are struggling with?
Yes, I can speak to the presidents of those clubs and the sponsors, but they'd be pretty much open to it. They were excited about the idea in previous years when they applied, but since we haven't had much turnout, they had to cancel it. But we can speak to them and see what they say.
All right, awesome. Thank you. All right. Were there any other questions that we can address this evening?